Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 8 of our F1 2021 fantasy team review, where today we're here back for the the Styrian Grand Prix technically I should say. Of course the Austrian Grand Prix going live this weekend, so obviously if you want to get your team changes in, make sure you get it done nice and quickly. But of course the Styrian Grand Prix, it was so disappointing. For a race around the Red Bull Ring, it was probably one of the worst I think we've had in the turbo hybrid era, unfortunately. Obviously, generally, I think the problem was there was still a fair bit of action going on, but it was just the fact that it wasn't towards the front, and we've kind of been spoiled in recent years, obviously, with action right towards the front of the field. There obviously you had a Hamilton and Albon's collision in 2020. Obviously, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen's battle in 2019. The Mercedes complete fall apart of the 2018 Grand Prix as well. So we've had 3 solid years in a row where we've seen some action right towards the front of the field there. But this weekend wasn't quite the same, I think it's safe to say there. So obviously if you want my full sort of opinions and rundown of the Grand Prix, Jamie and I will be live with the podcast either tomorrow or Wednesday. So if you aren't already, make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are so close now to 15,000 subscribers. I know I keep mentioning it in every video. Now I think we're about 35 away when I record this. So yeah, we're really getting there. So if you aren't already, please do help us get one step closer to that 15,000 subscriber goal, and then we can try and aim for 20k by the end of the year as well, of course. But yeah, having a look though at the Styrian Grand Prix, one of my worst results of the year. We made some gambles this weekend, which unfortunately didn't quite pay off in the way I'd wanted there. 142 points is actually my second worst result of the year, if I'm not mistaken, only ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix there, where we scored 138 points, and that was because we made the mistake of turboing Pierre Gasly in that Grand Prix. So yeah, really not the race we would have wanted here from Styria, but hopefully, there was still some promise within the team there. We turboed Sergio Perez, who scored exactly the same amount of points as Lando Norris there, so it didn't really matter which one of those two we did turbo this weekend there. Tsunoda had a pretty decent race, it must be said, but still just didn't score that many points, unfortunately. Obviously, got another point on the board for him, which is really, really good, but only 13 points there at the end of the day. Giovinazzi was practically nowhere all weekend. I don't even think I saw him on TV once. Over the course of the Grand Prix, there, I think, literally nothing happened to him over the entirety of the race, so we probably should have gone with Raikkonen if we could have afforded him here. But Giovinazzi generally this year has been slightly better than Kimi nonetheless there. And unfortunately, yeah, McLaren as well just didn't. Obviously, Lando still did a good job, but Ricciardo was nowhere all day, apparently. Finished P13, started P13, should have finished P15 had Gasly and Russell both been able to make it to the checkered flag as well. So yeah, Ricciardo was completely in the bin, and there's no way I'm putting him on our team at this stage of the year. So Hamilton as well, 38 points, not bad but not brilliant either. We just didn't seem to have like that big hitter this weekend that sort of like carried us through on quite a few points, of course. But having a look then, what was the best score that anyone was able to get this weekend? I can't imagine it was particularly crazy, I'll be honest. Let's have a look then. Styrian Grand Prix, 296 points, obviously, with the Mega Driver, was, of course, Verstappen, turboed Lando Norris there, Mick Schumacher, Perez, Sainz. He managed to squeeze Sainz in there as well, that's quite good going. And, of course, Red Bull there. So, again, the Red Bull trio seeming to do really, really well for people at this stage of the year, of course. We're hanging on in with our roster, but I think, to be honest, the tide is very quickly moving. I think we're going to have to put Max Verstappen in our team sooner rather than later, I think it must be said. But yeah, no, turbo, obviously Lando Norris as well. You could have got away with turbo and Perez. You would have scored exactly the same amount of points. I wonder if anyone else did do that. There you go, turbo Perez instead of Lando Norris there. So exactly the same score for them. But having a look, though, at our league, who did the best overall then this week? We're down to 179th there. We're 11 away from 400 members as well. I know I keep saying it in every single one of these videos, but you know, if you aren't already, make sure you get yourself joined. There is the league code once more there. But like I said, yeah, we're down to 179th at the moment, which isn't particularly great at this stage of the year there. It's still America's who is at the top there, 83 points clear of Mingles in P2 there with Sandbag Racing. So let's have a look. 179 points for him, though. Isn't particularly brilliant. Verstappen there, Gasly, unfortunately, yeah, cost him a lot of points. Obviously, turboed Perez, Norris, Schumacher, and Red Bull in that roster. Let's just have a look then at the Styrian Grand Prix. So it was actually, I don't really know this, by Andrew, who scored top there, 267 points there. Mega Max Verstappen, a pretty good bet in the end there. Turbo, Lando Norris, Gasly, Perez, Schumacher, and Red Bull there. So a good result done by him. Cooper in P2, they're tied with him. I'm guessing, yeah, the exact same roster for him. Lucas K in P3, they're a slightly different roster. Perez and Verstappen, of course. Sainz, Norris, Giovinazzi, and Ferrari. That's an interesting team. I haven't seen any like that particularly so far this year. But a good result done. F12 Daemoon by Dan as well, 223 points. So a big drop off there, unfortunately. Yeah, Mega Driver to Verstappen, good shout. Turbo Lando Norris there. Leclerc, Stroll, he was a decent hitter this weekend. Pierre Gasly and yeah, McLaren as well there in the end. Our top non-Mega Driver team then was Connor L on 199 points there. Perez, Verstappen, Red Bull, Norris, Raikkonen, Tsunoda. So again, another good team there. Obviously got two of the top guys as well. He tied with Patrick P, who I'm guessing has actually, yeah, not got Tsunoda, who's got Mick Schumacher in his roster there instead. End of your top 10 was HDM on 194 points. Yeah, it really wasn't a big scoring week for most people there. I think it was quite difficult to try and get a big haul there. Perez and Verstappen, as well as Red Bull, of course, Norris, Ocon, and Kimi Raikkonen there. We've just dropped Ocon from our team, and looking at it, it would have probably been ideal to keep him after this weekend. Then you can see Napoli Racing Team there still came P9 when all is said and done. So what was he like? Third, of the non-Mega Driver team. So he's absolutely smashing it out at this stage of the year as well. Now, having a look further down, we got a man in P13 now on 189 when all is said and done. Again, no major changes from him by the looks of it. Down towards the end of your top 20 there, we've got Andrew M and Vikonen. I've probably butchered your name there. I apologise for that. On 182 points apiece. Again, oh, he's got Bottas. That's, I mean, he's finished, so it kind of makes sense, but why still? Oh, no, I say that. Actually, Bottas did do pretty well this weekend. They actually scored some decent points for Mercedes there. Red Bull, Perez, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Lando Norris there. Could he squeeze Verstappen into that roster? Is it worth trying to squeeze Verstappen into that roster? I don't really know at this stage of the year there. Andrew again in P20. You can see further down the order, you got Bobby L in P22. 9 deep in also P22. There are 181 points. He unfortunately had Gasly in his roster as well there. And then further down the order, what would have netted you a top 50 at the end of the week? There's so many people tied. 30 people tied on 179 points there, so 179 would have got you in. That's an interesting roster. He's a big Ferrari fan, apparently. Logan there. Sainz, Leclerc. Sainz, actually, yeah, scoring some good points as a turbo. That's pretty good going. Leclerc, Verstappen, Ferrari, Lando Norris, and Mick Schumacher as well. Let's see, a big Ferrari fan. Four of his six, themed around Ferrari there as well. Toby with the strong team, it's dubbed. Yeah, looks pretty strong. Fair play. 178 points there is not bad going for him either there. As we look further down the order, what would have netted you a top 100 then? Oh, Kieran, what's he done there with his Mega Driver? He went Hamilton Mega Driver. That's a bit gutting. And Russell and Gasly. That's a bit heartbreaking. I mean, your Mega Driver Hamilton has saved you this weekend there, but that was not great for Kieran as well there. Top 100 would have netted you how many points? 165 to get yourself into the top 100 there, as Laura J just missing out on 164. But yeah, no, we are then, like I said, all the way down. Where did we finish this week? It must have been woefully bad. 204th this week. Things you love to see at this stage of the year there. So we finished in the bottom half once again after this one. We did beat Omeraga's second team, though, his F2 team, which is Sainz, Ferrari, Vettel, Bottas, Perez, and Gasly. Right, we'll gloss over that as well. But yeah, no, not a particularly great week for me. Obviously, we've got Austria again this weekend. I think a lot of people are really going to be basing it on last weekend's results, so I think there's a good chance to score some big points here. Obviously, if you get the right sort of roster in as well. Let me know, obviously, how well you guys did down below in the comments below. Obviously, if I did miss out on your team, having a quick look at your overall championship standings from the fantasy. It is, yes, still obviously, like I said, Omeragas, Mingles, Araman, Josh G, Jake B, Dylan, Josh G as well there again, and then Mohammed and Curtis as well as Connor C rounding out your top 10 there. Still, I mean, some of these guys, I mean, yeah, Mohammed, they're on only 140 points back with his Mega still in play there. Could potentially put him right towards the front of the field as we head in towards the next couple of weekends. They're the same for Curtis and Connor at this stage of the year. But having a look then, are we going to make some changes to the roster? I think it's probably worth it after last weekend there. Let's have a look. Let's have an experiment, see if we can take Hamilton out there. Because, I mean, another, 7.5 million cheaper Max Verstappen is going to open up a lot of budget for us for some other drivers as well. I'm going to scrap Giovinazzi and Tsunoda. So that gives us 24 million to play with 2 drivers. Of course, we're going to keep Lando Norris in the team there. Alonso and Vettel just aren't worth it. The same for Kimi Räikkönen. Charles Leclerc could have a decent weekend if he doesn't try and take Pierre Gasly out. That being said, I'm going to definitely put Gasly. Do I put Gasly in the team? We'll have a look. So we could put Gasly in, and then the best person we can really get after that is probably Räikkönen or Tsunoda again. I want to believe in George Russell this weekend, but I can't help feel that he's just going to go backwards in the Grand Prix anyway there. However, if I put Charles Leclerc in, we got 6.5 million. I could put Latifi into the team. It's a bit of a gamble, but I think it might pay off. So we're gonna experiment with it. We're gonna change it up a little bit there. We've obviously changed a lot of the team this week. So we've got Verstappen, Red Bull. Obviously, we're sticking with McLaren there. How much more is Red Bull than McLaren at this stage of the year? Another 8 million. So I don't really want to put them in as well, of course. But Red Bull could score big this weekend if we save some money with Leclerc. No, I'm going to stick with that ready for this weekend. Let me know if you think I'm a moron down below in the comments. This will be the weekend Hamilton comes back and wins a Grand Prix. That I'm not going to Mega Driver Max, just because if you remember last year when we had the double races, no driver won 2 of them. Max Verstappen definitely seems like the kind of person that is going to stop that this weekend, but yeah, we're going to leave it. Now, I have been reminded as well, actually, thank you to one of you guys, that your Mega Driver, you've actually got 2 over the course of the year. 1 before the summer break and 1 after the summer break. So we are going to have to be careful to make sure we do use that before we get in towards the second half of the year. I'm looking at, I'll be honest, Hamilton at Hungary is like my gamble for the end of the first half of the year there, seeing if he can do anything in that Mercedes. So let me know your thoughts below as to whether I should do that as well. Obviously, like I said, let me know how well you guys did this week as well. Whether you think I'm a moron for saving this team as well for next weekend. But thank you all so much for watching nonetheless. Like I said, if you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. A big, big thank you for the continued support on the channel. And yeah, we will be back next weekend ready for the Austrian Grand Prix.